Which one is the doctor? The one with the white hair.
Hello and welcome back to another Doctor Who action figure review. In today's review I'm going to be taking a look at this amazing B&M exclusive release, which is of course the Sensorite set, featuring the first Doctor, a Sensorite and the Sensorite Elder. My god, I can't believe what my eyes are seeing right now. The Sensorites are something I wanted in figure form ever since 2013, and 8 years on, we finally have them. I literally cannot stop pinching myself over the fact that we've got these now. They are just superb. The Sensorite is one of those episodes that is usually classed as not that great by some fans, but I must admit, I love the story itself. It just has a 50s sci-fi B-movie feel to it. Especially if these guys were to pop up in a film like Forbidden Planet or something across the day the Earth stood still. The Sensorites alone do feel like they should have belonged in the 50s, but I digress. I must admit, I am so glad we finally got something from the Hartnell era that again isn't a Dalek or a Cybermen, and they've pretty much been done to death. But here they are. So as ever, usually starting with these reviews, I'm going to first be taking a look at the packaging. So, as ever with the packaging, it's featured the blue and grey style guide with the new Who logo on the side with the TARDIS, a limited edition foil sticker on the front, along with the name of the set, and if you move to the back, not only do we have promotional images, we also get a synopsis about the Sensorites. Opening up the box, you get to take a look at this lovely new backdrop that they've seemed to be doing for these new 3-pack sets, and I'm all for it. Again, if you decide to keep them, you can display the figures in many ways to recreate certain scenes within the story. I absolutely love the design of the spaceship, and as I said before, it does come across as a B-movie because it was so atmospheric in that very first episode. But I am a sucker for when it comes to cringy sci-fi films sometimes. Taking a look at the first Doctor, this is the most generic release from what we have seen in the past, barring a few details. It's pretty much the one that came in the 13 Doctor set, but just has his waistcoat and cravat that he wore in his first 2 seasons. The head sculpt itself is fantastic as usual, and it does resemble William Hartnell quite well. The hair is white with a grey wash over the top, and I absolutely love that, as it makes all the details pop out of the sculpt, and the paint apps on the face seem to be really nice and crisp. It's also really strong around his eyes, with that pinkish ring going around them. And then moving down to the body, it's pretty much exactly the same as the other 2 First Doctor releases. You have that dark blue cravat, which has been painted really nicely, the black town coat, which has also been painted in black, and you also have the seam lines down the back of the coat and along the sides of his arms. As well as that, you also have several buttons running down his coat. As well as that, you also have his cream pinstriped waistcoat. Along with that, you also have the monocle, which has been painted silver, and the ribbon painted black. It's also been painted really well, and there doesn't seem to be any bleeds here. Taking a look at the hands, the rings that have been cast onto the hands are sadly missing the blue gemstone, which is either a cost issue or a factory error, who knows, but it is easily fixable if you decide to paint it yourself. And now we come to the elephant in the room, which is in fact his poxy trousers. Now, this previous design was in fact used on the 13 Doctor set one, where it was based on his appearance in the Web Planet. Sadly, these seem to be incorrect, as he never wore brown trousers. Supposedly, Al Dewar was referencing images from that said story, and he thought that the trousers came across as a brownish colour. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case, and it was just in fact the same trousers that he wore throughout his first 2 seasons of the show. But it was something that was too late to fix. Luckily, as a few people have already pointed out, these aren't too dissimilar to the pair that he wore throughout Season 3 and the early half of Season 4. So when I get the chance to unbox my collection, I may display him with my 10th Planet Cybermen, unless we get an official release of that later down the line. And then we have the shoes, which have been painted in a dark brown on the main part of the shoe, with the lighter brown parts on the spats. Overall, I still think it's a very lovely figure. It's nice to have another variant of William Hartnell. Again, if you've missed out on any other First Doctor release, this is probably your chance to get it now, even though it's not 100% accurate, but never mind, I mean, it's still a nice figure altogether. Up next, we come to the highlight of this set, which is, of course, the Sensorites. I'll firstly take a look at the Sensorite Warrior, which is, again, so good. Again, the main body is actually the Sharazjek body that was used again on the Vord, but with a few additional changes, such as the legs. And again, it works really well here. So basically, starting off from the top, starting with the head, it just looks brilliant. I really can't think of any other words to describe the head sculpt. It just resembles what was seen on screen so well. I just love the simplicity of the design with the huge domed heads as well as the wispy beards that they all had, and the beady black eyes and the bushy eyebrows. It just looks so good. Another cool bit of information about these guys is that they are supposedly long distant cousins of the Ood. So I reckon there will be a lot of fans taking pictures with them together. It's just a really lovely head sculpt altogether. They did an excellent job with it, with all the wrinkles around the eyes and the mouth. The beard has also got all that texture to it with all the lighter greys and the darker colours just to draw that detail within that sculpt. As you can see, they have also added a false collar just like with the Vord, as it was part of the main costume. Another added detail was the fact they've actually added the zip from the collar right down to the back of the figure, just like they had on the actual costumes. And again, they didn't really have to do this, but it just adds more detail to the action figure. And of course, he also has his mind-reading thing, which is sadly just attached around his waist, but on the prototype originally it was supposed to be attached to a small wire or something that you could pose the figure with so you can put it on his head. Maybe again it was just a cost thing and they had to scale it back a bit to do this. It's a huge shame, but it's still better than nothing. The device itself has just been painted silver with all these little edges added onto the sculpt, and the cord itself is just a streak of silver paint going up to the body right round to the back of the collar. Mine has got a paint defect around the shoulder, but again, these things happen and I'm just happy to have one of these guys as a figure. Taking a look at the arms, you have 3 black stripes running down the sleeves, as well as new hands, which look really nice, with all the creases and everything else. It's just so brilliant. And paint-wise, they've just been painted blue, just like the rest of the body. And then taking a look at the legs, these have been retooled to feature these brand new feet, which again look amazing. Just like the Vord, they've had to adapt the sculpt so they could add on these new feet, and they've captured the fabric on the legs and to the feet to make it look like it's all one piece. And again, it's just superbly detailed. The feet themselves are pretty ridiculous, but on the figure they have just been painted in the same blue to the rest of the body. But you also have the added bonus of the dirt as well, which is just a dark wash over the fabric. I mean, they do walk around in that groggy spaceship for the first 2 episodes, so they're bound to get their feet dirty from time to time. Another small detail is that you can see the actor's normal feet from behind to where they would slip into place with the fabric draping over it. It just looks wild, but then again, that was 1960s Doctor Who for you. Another addition is that they've added the little silver weapon that they carry around with them, which is used to burn out the TARDIS lock, and it is simply painted silver, and fits snugly into the hands of the Sensorite. I just love the look of this figure, it's just so good. I really can't think of any other words to say about these toys, but I'm just so struck with the fact we finally have these as toys. They have really done an excellent job with these figures, as they just look so amazing. I mean, I am lost for words, as this is an incredible set of figures. And then moving on quickly to the Sensorite Elder, there isn't much difference other than the fact the skin tone is slightly lighter, as well as the beard being slightly lighter as well. I mean, I suppose it means he is supposed to be older than just a generic Sensorite. I mean, the clue's in the name. He is an elder. It is basically the same figure with some minor changes, such as the rings on his arm are now gone, and the fact that he has these sashes on to represent that he is an elder. Like I said before, the head is a slightly different shade on the skin, as well as the beard is a lot lighter with a grey wash on top, and works very nicely here. It really does bring the sculpt out in all those wisps of hair. Like I said about the sashes, this is so that the others can tell that he is the first Elder on the planet, as within the story, you can't tell who's who, even though some of the Sensorite actors were slightly chubbier or slightly shorter than others. It was a pretty funny fact to point out, but that's how it was. The sashes themselves are just PVC wrapped around the body, and they do look like they have been painted in black instead of casted, but who knows. But they do look really nice. There isn't any detail on there, as they're just plain. Like I said, it is really cool that they have added this, but it is just better than having 2 that are exactly the same. I may track down another set for customization purposes down the line, as well as having another regular Sensorite to pair it with the other one. So for the first Doctor, he bears most of the similar articulation on the older figures. The head can swivel, but just mostly from side to side. The arms can do a full 360. He also has swivel joints at the biceps. He also has elbow articulation, and his hands can swivel too. The waist can also turn, and the legs too come forward and out to the sides, as well as having thigh articulation and can also bend at the knee. For the Sensorites, they have more articulation just like the Vord. The head can swivel and do a full 360 turn. Same with the arms, as they are on ball joints, so you can move them out to the sides. Swivel joints at the biceps and on the elbows, so you could bend them. And again on the wrists. The waist can rotate a full 360 as well. And the legs can move forward and out to the sides. He also has articulation at the knees so they can bend out, and he also has articulation at the thighs and ankles. So there you have it. That was the Sensorite set. Something that we collectors wanted for a very long time, and I'm still in shock that these actually exist. I did see these first on eBay as they were leaked online, but when seeing these, I was in so much shock that I nearly fainted. I'm just so happy that we have Sensorites. I mean, look at them. They're so adorable and I can't believe it. Actual bloody Sensorites. I mean, if we wish really hard, then they may even release some more 60s monsters. I mean, I really hope at some point we get a Monoid, as I thought they were interesting, and even Coquillion, as I do have a soft spot for the rescue. This year they have really outdone themselves with these brand new sets. As well as that, there is news that we are supposedly getting more sets in October, so I really can't wait and see what we're going to be getting. So this pretty much wraps up this review. Hopefully when I can track them down, I'll be taking a look at the History of the Daleks set number 5 and 7, as they're still both on my radar. So yeah, thank you all for watching, and bye for now.